Gather, veterans. It's time to join the fight. The long war begins.
This is The Long War. I'm Rob Baer, and joining me once again are my partners in crime, Kenny Boucher and Wyatt Turk. What's up, guys?
Yo, dog, great to be here.
Hey, what's going on?
Is that past Kenny?
Past Kenny?
Yeah. Wasn't he supposed to come up with a new one? A new intro?
I'm not. Probably.
Sorry. Probably.
Maybe.
Well, here we are. It's still October. Kind of late in
2020.
October 2020.
Still, it'll be October next month in 2020 because time has no meaning here.
Lots of hype. Twitch channels have been popping. I've been seeing lots of orcs getting built. Since we last jumped in on the stream, the Army Painter's 13th birthday was celebrated on a big cross stream they did.
That was
awesome.
That was fun.
You and I got to jump in on there. Remember, I think when we last were on the podcast, we were like, oh, yeah, we better call them and tell them we both want to go in at the same time.
Yeah, it worked out. I wanted to show them. It never came up, but I had my original bottles of paint from 13 years ago that I bought to do. I helped a buddy in a weekend paint up his metal Death Guard army and Plague Bearers. And I bought a couple of dropper bottles to match the sprays. I mean, the washes are long gone because we use that. But I wanted to show him. I was like, look, I got your paints. These very first paints came to America.
The old ones.
The old ones. They still work. They're
the ones that were like
old.
80% medium because they used to ship them on boats and shit.
Yep. That was good times.
Oh, yeah. The old days. But Mike Haspil's not with us tonight. He's been pulled away due to real life responsibilities.
He's away on official business.
Mm-hmm.
That's the cover story.
He's officially away on business.
That's a good one too. I like your way better.
Play both sides a little bit better. We're going to do our normal content today. We got our news decks, the memorial news desk with Rob Baer. We're not going to have a Haspil's Corner, but we're going to do our monthly hobby AMA today after we get through our content. And so let's just start this thing off with Wyatt and his spicy would you rathers.
This one is pretty good. Would you rather have to swap bodies with a complete stranger or constantly have an evil twin try to like scheme and implement plans to kill you?
So swap bodies with a total stranger.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I live their life now.
Yeah.
Basically. Like, but I'm still me in my mind.
Yes.
Or the rest of my life is like every decision I'm basically making the rest of my life is like, I didn't know there's an evil twin out there plotting to kill me.
Yeah. Yeah, there's like a Kenny from the negative dimension with a goatee, like constantly trying to kill you and replace you.
No, his Kenny's he's the evil Kenny.
Me?
Yes.
Nah.
There's a Kenny out there like.
Nah, there's a bad guy. I'm nice.
Oh, okay. You're right.
I don't do mean things to people.
That's true.
Just because I'm a little crass. Think about how crass he is, though. Or me. God, I hope I'm not the bad Kenny.
But I mean, he's your opposite. So I mean, like he's mean spirited and evil, but he's very polite and well mannered.
You have to kill him, right? Yeah, completely. You have to kill him and absorb his power, like Jet Li in The One. You have to go through all the multiverse and absorb yourselves.
Now, that's a great pitch. I'm going to ask the Dijin. Am I allowed to preemptively strike Negaverse Kenny?
I mean, if you can find him.
Man, that seems like a lot of work. I'm not like a natural detective here. That means neither is he. Oh wait, he is a natural detective.
A multi-dimensional detective.
He's opposite of me, so he's good at being a detective.
Yeah.
Shit. I think I go with Evil Twin. the very least, it makes for good content. Because I can't take the chance that like I jump bodies with like a total fucking hobo. Like,
Yeah. I mean, like, statistically, you'd probably end up in China or
knowing me though, I would just become Dirty Mike. Like I would just like 2 blocks down the street in an overpass in a Prius. I'm like, God damn it. In the middle of a fucking F-Shack orgy. No.
I think my choice is pretty easy. I always feel like somebody's conspiring against me already. So but
it's you.
Yeah. So now, like, I know the inner workings.
Will I know if the evil twin has ever successfully replaced Rob, or is he gonna like shave his goatee and be Rob?
I don't know. I guess it depends on the intricacy of his plot.
Is it like a Highlander where, like, when you enter that same area as yourself, you get that, like, that little premonition that, like, somebody else like you is nearby?
I mean, do you have a brother?
No.
Okay. Well, it's hard to explain because I was going to say it's like if your sibling was in the room, there's no like supernatural things going on.
Oh.
I'll go with evil twin because I think it'd be hilarious. And I think accidentally becoming Dirty Mike would not be hilarious.
No.
And not to me, at least. I could see how Rob would find it funny, but...
I mean, if you could roll the dice, like, every day, it'd be somebody different. I mean, I guess it would average out that 50% of the time it'd be good, 50% of the time it'd suck.
No.
I mean, still, statistically, you'd probably just, like, end up...
You just be in China
India,
the whole time.
like, every day.
Yeah.
So 7 billion humans and 3/4 of them are in those 2 countries. Yeah.
Yeah. If I ever came to you, Rob, if a hobo ever comes to you and he's like, yo, it's me. Like, I just need you to believe him.
Just need you to believe it. No questions.
No questions. Yeah. But also, if a guy who looks exactly like me comes to you and says something similar, I need you to not trust him.
Okay. I need to take some Polaroids and write myself some notes.
Yeah. There needs to be like a code word that we tell each other.
Yeah. Not the hobo. That's the code word.
I really want a situation where Rob has to like have a gun pointed at two Kennys and they're like, no, I'm the real one. No, I'm the real one.
Oh, I got it. Rob, if I ever walk up to you, just straight grab your dick.
Well, I mean,
normal.
You know it's me.
I mean, you said that live, so your evil twin.
Yeah, my evil twin will never do that.
Yeah, because he's proper.
I mean, what if he's like super committed to proving that he's the real one? Then Rob is like super uncomfortable because 2 Kennys just
grab his dick at the same time.
Yeah, and now he's like, now I don't know who to believe.
Joke's on you. My dick is an innie.
It'd be hilarious if like we're both just grabbing evil Rob's dick without realizing it because he's already been replaced.
Yeah.
He's like, okay, assholes.
What was that Marvel comic series? Was it Infinity Crusade where people get replaced with doppelgangers?
The one where they're all scrolls?
Yeah, that's where I got my idea for grabbing your dick. That was the plot of that.
Scroll Invasion?
Was it Scroll Invasion? I thought it was like Infinity Crusade.
Fuck, I don't know, man. There's so many. I mean, I just found out like the full story of like Secret Empire, and
really,
yeah. Because I don't like read comics, so I remember the hype where the people were like, "Oh my god, they made Captain America into Hydra. He's a Nazi," and then nothing else. And then now that I know the full story, I was like, "That's actually a really fucking good written story." Because the whole thing is about how people put way too much. They invest way too much in symbols, regardless of how the symbol changes over time.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, Secret Wars was kind of very cool, but very much older.
Secret Invasion?
Yeah.
It's too many secrets and too many infinities.
Just
too many intercessors.
That's Marvel's Space Marine. That's how they gotta sell books, dog.
I guess so. I mean, well, now Marvel sells Space Marine comics, so what else are you gonna do?
How'd you like the Marnius comic?
I haven't read it yet. I set up a deal where I'm going to get them all from our friends over at Hammerhead Games. So he's just like, whenever a new one comes out, he's just going to send it to me and I'm going to PayPal him. So I'm waiting for him to send me the first one.
I didn't realize they did comic books. That's cool.
Yeah.
Are they still in Vegas?
No.
They're not in Vegas?
I don't know. I've never known where they are.
I think he was in California and then he said he was moving to Vegas. So I assume he's in Vegas right now.
I feel like that is a good business decision.
If you're in retail, definitely go to fucking Vegas.
Yeah. No state sales tax. Ballin'. Like that. I got a nerd shit.
All right.
Cool.
All sorts of nerd shit. And I also have a Memorial Haspil's Corner too. With some pop cultures. So I'm going to try to separate those out in my mind here. Let's start with G-dubs. Because everybody wants to hear about the G-dubs. Where's the new? Did I not print out the pricing for next week? Of course I didn't. Woefully unprepared. Oh my goodness. We got Necromunda or something. Oh no, was it the Warcry? Yeah, we did a big workup on the Warcry. Let's take a look. So Warcry Catacombs is coming out next week, or is that this week? Man, I don't even know anymore. So many things. Hold on one second.
Yeah.
Let me just go to the article.
Yeah,
Let's just go to the article.
Go to your own article, man.
Yeah, that would be a lot.
Or fire up your offset printers and start printing off pages now. It'll be done soon.
Yeah, it'll be. So next week, the new Warcry starter Catacombs is coming out. It's $210. I did a breakdown on it. So what it looks like, it kind of feels like it's biting off HeroQuest a little bit. It's because it's got the doors and it's got like a lot of the elements that HeroQuest had back in the day. And of course, HeroQuest just like rebooted. So it's kind of hilarious. They're both coming out at the same time. What it looks like is it comes with the two of the same sprue with these doors and these bridges. And then you get some of the old sprues from the last Warcry set, which came out this time last year. So it's like they're recycling a lot of elements here. You also get two of the new warbands. So you get 17 miniatures. But last year you got 17 miniatures plus the Chaos Beast pack with the Harpies and the Chaos Beast. So, but you didn't get the additional rules. So it's kind of like, you kind of got to look at it like, if you're looking at it like, okay, do I need a Warcry starter? If so, this is probably good for you because even though it is $210, the Warcry starter was $170 last year. So it's already up $40. They're going for like $225 to $250 right now in the secondary market. So it's actually cheaper than the Warcry starter from last year, if you want to look at it that way. I don't know what you're into, but you know, if you got a dedicated group of folks.
So it's cheaper than the current secondary market.
Right. So that's not a good selling point, but it's a selling
not
point.
The strongest platform.
And then they have individual Warcry. They call them starter sets, but they're really just like war bands for existing Age of Sigmar factions like Skaven, Caradon Overlords, Flesh Eater Courts, Iron Jaws. And those are $60 each, which they're just repackaged. They're just repackages of existing miniatures with some Warcry stats in them. They're putting out the Warcry collector's case for $60 as well. And then for Necromunda, the new House of Iron book, which has got the Orlocks in it. Pretty dope. You can also get it on digital. But you can't get 40K books on digital anymore. Womp womp. They got the dice and the tactics cards, $15 each. If you see these and they sit around for a couple of weeks, it might be worth picking up because they'll probably be $40-$50 on the secondary market in a couple of months. That's just the way that things have been going. The new Orlock box set is $42. And something I'm personally interested in that looks pretty dope is this new set of terrain. It's called the Zone Mortalis Gang Stronghold, which kind of looks like a Mad Maxic type fortress, like multi-level. It's got a watchtower. It's got like a water tank or some sort of Prometheum. Insert the name in High Gothic here. I don't even know what it's called, but I can't wait to find out. And it looks dope. and supposedly it works with the current Zoom Mortalis, the terrain boards and stuff for the terrain they put out.
Put it right next to my galvanic magma vent.
There you go. See, now you're thinking. Now you're using them words. Those are all the releases for next week. And then this week, the Necron and the Space Marine stuff comes out as well. So I don't know. Personally, I think Warcry might be a skip for some folks, but I could see where the Necromunda stuff, a lot of folks might be kind of interested in it. GW also announced that they're coming out for the 4th year in a row. We have a paint handle product for sale at the holidays.
Is this what everyone is calling the butt plug?
This is a newer, shorter, thinner for the most tightest of beeholes
and rounder. It's like they turned into it, like they leaned into it, because it's even more butt plug looking than the previous one.
Oh my God.
When you look at it, you're just like, guys, why?
You know, somebody in the stream asked me if I would buy the GW butt plug. I was like, is it actually a butt plug? Because I would. If it was a branded Aquila, everything on it, yeah, like 100%.
Nice.
I'd even go the extra round and make sure that I left a nice, solid customer review with a picture.
Yeah.
I actually forgot the gang stronghold that I was talking about there with the galvanic magma furnace, as Kenny referred to it, is $90 for that terrain kit. Might be worth it. Don't know yet.
How much is the butt plug?
I don't know. What do butt plugs even sell? More importantly is make sure there's a chain, some way to keep it attached to your hand so you don't lose it. Just put that in your computer.
The government already knows everything about us.
Oh my goodness. If you are really excited about getting that new Warhammer Day chaplain, the rescheduled Warhammer Day, normally it's in the summer. This time it's on Halloween. If you're excited about getting that bad boy, it's $35. And it looks like they are limiting it to 5 per store. But GW said that you will be able to order it online. Don't know what that means until November 8th. I guess they're going to put up like a 1-week pre-order window or something.
There's a pretty solid Etsy market, like $18 on average.
Oh, all right. Yeah. So it's about the size, about the price of a paint handle.
Yeah.
They're similar. Very much so. We talked about the Warcry comparison for the most part. That's pretty much all we know for GW. Now, if I had to speculate, I think last week I said a lot about like what new Space Marine kits I thought were coming out with what codex and why. So chances are they're going to spread that out a little bit more. Remember last year at Black Friday weekend, we got Sisters Army box. We also got Black Templars Faith and Fury, I think the week before or that same week. And then the first week of December, which was actually a week later, although it was a different month, we got, what was the Blood of Balls? Blood of Balls.
That's right, Bloody Balls.
So if I had to guess, I would say they're going to save those codex releases for the end of the month and the first of the month in December, because generally they don't really put out any new releases in past the first couple of weeks of December, because then it's all about the like stocking stuffers and people are just going to spend money anyway. So they don't really do it a whole lot of release wise. So just kind of keep that in mind. So we're probably going to have,
they haven't announced any like Battle Force boxes or anything.
They haven't. I mean, they can barely get stuff out the door. I'm going to be honest. Like everything is out of stock. Spray paint's out of stock. If you want any spray paint from GW, out of stock, going for $40 a can on the secondary market. Like, and not only that, but it says no longer available online, which is even more puzzling / shocking.
I need it. What's that? Wraithbone White? Whatever it is. For my contrast paints, dog.
Well, I'm sorry you can't use contrast now, Kenny.
Damn it.
Yep.
That was the only thing holding me back, man.
That was it. So there's a lot of stuff going for silly money on the secondary market right now. I mean, so I think somebody in the chat earlier said the Blackstone Fortress expansions, which were already semi-expensive at $60 each, are going for, in some cases, nearly double that right now. Remember Shade Speezy? Like,
I'm familiar.
4 seasons ago? All that stuff's going for like double. The little pack of sleeves that was $8 is like double.
I've been
dice
dumping money into a 401k like an idiot.
I know, right?
What am I doing?
4 dice sets for like $30. Like what? 4 dice? $30? Oh no, I guess they're not 4 dice set. I guess it's like 6 or 8. It's not a lot. It's crazy, dude. The market, it's just crazy right now that with how everything is. Anyways, moving on. So Heresy Lab has been getting a lot of requests for STL files. Like people are like, yo, can I get the STL files? Because people want to print their minis. They did a couple of Kickstarters that included STL files for those Kickstarters, but they wanted to put them on their site, but their site doesn't support like STL downloads and things. So they actually are doing a Kickstarter right now just for STL files for the whole line of miniatures. I think it's like 300 miniatures.
Oh, wow.
So if you're looking to, want those to print them out, you might have to do a little bit of work on some of the miniatures to get them to print. They're a little thin in some parts, like here and there. Nothing big, nothing. If you're good at, 3D printing, it's nothing you're not used to, but just kind of keep that in mind. But that's going on right now. So you might want to check that out because it's pretty good value. When you consider most of their figures are $12 to $15 each, some more. Pretty dope.
How much are the STLs?
I forget. There was a couple different levels, but I think it was something like $50 or $60 for everything.
Oh wow!
Let me go
value.
Heresy Lab. I'll do that in the background real quick.
Yeah.
It actually went out today already.
What you got there? Find it. Give me a price.
I'm loading, and we're loading. It has 6 days to go. They're already funded, and it is, you get 5 STLs for 21 euros, 10 for 25, 20 for 64. Oh, I guess you can't. They're sold out of the big bundle. So you can get 100. 100 is the best value right now at 200 euros. So basically $2 each.
Too expensive for me.
I think you can get the smaller one. Like if there's 5 minis you want.
There's all these
21
Patreon pages that are smaller lump sum. That's why,
Yeah, that's true.
I'm not saying it's not a good deal. It's just that it's 200 euros versus.
Well,
like
it depends
$10
on what you're
a
trying to
month.
get out of it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, Black Friday is most likely going to be a Blood Bowl release, the big box set with Warcry coming out this week. So, not completely unexpected. There will be a Christmas mini too this year. There will be a holiday mini. It will not be 40K. That's all I can say right now. Unfortunately, not fortunately. So that was kind of my Market Watch segment. I wanted to talk about that a little. What was the other thing I wanted to? Oh, did you guys know that there's a new mode in BCP that they have a tracker? Like if you want to just do casual, it's pretty cool.
I think we were testing it during San Antonio shootout last week.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's just right in there. They're going to have all sorts of different game systems in there at some point. But I mean, if you just want to keep track of your secondaries and stuff and 9th edition games and just who you played and when, and it's pretty neat. Like,
yeah, it works pretty good. I like it. Now, I don't know how fast they're going to be updating it since the Necrons and the Space Marines, and depending on release, maybe Space Wolves and Blood Angels are going to have their own secondaries by the end of next month when I have Pledge City. So I don't know if that'll be updated or not. But I
imagine they stay pretty on top of their stuff.
I mean, who made these?
Sheet?
Squad Marks. Yeah, Squad Marks has little sheets. So I like these. These are cool.
You can laminate them too and just...
No, sir, get off my desk.
Uh-oh. Catzilla.
Yeah, that's it.
There's also a Humble Bundle up right now for Black Library books. If you're looking to scoop up some audiobooks on the cheap, there's some pretty good bundles up there. The 40K one is the most expensive, but not by much. I mean, money-wise, like it's basically what you would spend for one book over on Amazon. So check that out. Some pretty good titles: Mephiston, Fabius. I think there was what's the first new Terra book, or the Road to Terra, the new Horus Heresy novel series where they're at Terra. The first book was
the Solar War.
Yeah, the Solar War. The first book of that's on there.
I forget what it's called. The Last Wall.
Yeah, I think that's
I want to say
something like that. That was over there too.
I've only read 2 of them. I think there's a third one that's already out. I don't know if it's on audiobook yet or not.
I think there is a third one. The Lost and Damned.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one's pretty dope. So that was kind of the big stuff I wanted to cover tonight. As far as our lead story last week about the mushroom faction, the shrooms, it may or may not, it's a rumor. Like we said, that's fun. It was cool. It was well written. I thought, what the heck, we'd run it.
So GW said that's not happening?
Stu Black, the head of GW's Warhammer Studio, on a podcast said that picture was literally like all the stuff in it was just made up. So, long story short, you can listen to it. We did put an article out this morning about it.
Did you guys know that Fantasy Flight makes card sleeves for 40K?
Yes.
Yeah, a friend of mine got me the Marnius Calgar card sleeves for my new data cards.
Those are actually hard to get, like, because they don't have the license anymore.
You know what's cool? The art. Recognize that?
Ballin'.
And if you recognize that art, you might recognize
El Chungo.
This miniature. So I'm pretty excited by that.
Yeah.
Where can you get that? Rob, where can you get
that? Nowhere right now.
I thought you were selling. But you end up not doing it?
I ended up not doing it this month. Soon. I'm gonna put it up. It's happening.
Okay.
I've been very busy.
Well, maybe once we finish painting this, you can use that as a selling JPEG.
Ooh! It turns out painted miniatures sell miniatures better than not painted miniatures.
Okay.
Go figure.
Well, they'll probably be done next week. I'll send you a bunch of good photos.
Nice. Maybe put them next to a regular intercessor too.
I'll put them next to regular Marnius if you want me to.
A sexy shot. That's
I own like 4 Marnius Calgars now.
I feel like they there was the Rogue Trader one. There was the one in the 90s.
It was him in power armor.
Yeah.
There's 2 because there was Rogue Trader, him in his regular power armor.
Yeah.
Him in his Terminator armor, which was the one that was there for a long time. Now the Primaris one, and now my custom one. So I guess technically I have 5.
That's 5.
No, I have 4 because I don't own a Rogue Trader one.
I think there was 4 Gasgulls too, if I recall correctly. There's a lot of Gasgulls. Those scamps, they've been around forever.
There's only one Gaskull.
Yes. New Mandalorian trailer came out 2 days ago. Looks pretty good. They're just kind of like expanding on the first trailer, really, but it offered a little bit more insight. Like, it looks like the Razor Crest. What is it? Razor Crest? What's his ship's name? Yeah, the Razor Crest like crashes in some sort of like ice thing, and he's repairing it, and then some more like scenes with him and what's the name of those 2 characters?
Cara Dune and
Cara Dune and the Constable disgrace.
It starts with a G, doesn't it? Like his name.
Oh dang! You know.
Yeah.
Carl Weathers' character.
Yeah.
Well, anyways, they're in it. It looks good. I can't wait to see it. It's got some X-Wings. It's got some TIE fighters. I don't know. Got everything in it. It's got
which one's better?
X-Wing or TIE fighter?
They're 2 different classes of starfighter, so they're not a direct
head-to-head fight. Who wins?
1v1.
I would assume an X-Wing because they have shields.
Yeah.
Whereas the TIE fighter doesn't.
I think that's the eternal question. Who's better, Wolverine or the Hulk?
I don't know.
They made a whole movie about Wolverine versus the Hulk.
Yeah. I don't think you could do an acting one on that. Also, I think they just announced yesterday that Willow is coming back on Disney Plus TV series with Warwick. What's his name?
Davis.
Yeah, Warwick Davis. OG.
Baller.
No word yet if Val Kilmer is going to be in it.
Good job.
As a star.
Is he still around? I thought Val Kilmer
is still around.
Okay.
He's in a new Top Gun.
Is he really?
I think he makes an appearance. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. I wonder when that's going to come out.
They keep pushing it back.
Yeah.
Why?
Womp womp.
Well, why do you think, Kenny?
Apparently theaters aren't a thing anymore.
Because Hollywood doesn't want to accept the dying gasp of the theater industry and keeps refusing to put stuff out on home release.
I was thinking about buying it on that. Go to the theater, rent it out.
Oh, just here's $100. Here's $100.
Me and Boucher were just like, how much does it cost? We're like, just go by ourselves.
How much does it cost though? Like rent a theater?
I think it's like, I think total, it's like what they want from you is like, there's a minimum cost, but then a minimum you have to spend. So there is a total cost that's higher than advertised, like around $350.
I mean, for the right movie, I could see it.
Yeah, we're thinking about like special occasion, we haven't gone on a date since February, so it's like, well, all the cumulative savings of no dates since February. Let's just fucking rent the theater out for $350. Go.
Just like ball out of control.
Yeah, just like every 15 minutes we change seats.
I don't like this one. I'm gonna sit back here.
Yeah, it's like being in Bruce Wayne's manor. You're like, I don't know, I haven't been in this room yet.
Like we'll be on opposite sides. Like, yo, you passed the popcorn. Hold on.
Like get up and walk over. A ridiculously big table.
I'm with it. So
that was my Haspil's corner, by the way. Pop culture.
John Patrick, I have some bad news for you, bud. Talking about going to see Dune in December.
Ooh.
Hate to be the guy to break it to you, but that got pushed to 2021.
Womp womp.
Sadness.
Boy, you definitely need to whisper me on Twitch. I want that model.
I'll be all in if they let me also pick the movie I want, like anything that they had access to or licensed still from the past.
Well, they might. I don't know. Like, like when I worked in a theater, they had to actually like rent the reels.
The reels, but that's obviously they rent the hard drives.
Yeah, I don't know how they do it now.
Yeah.
But I imagine there's got to be some inside track. You know what I mean? Like anybody who works at a theater, let me know what's up.
Well, I remember for a while it was a real problem when they started distributing films digitally to theaters because people that would work at the theaters would just copy it onto an external hard drive and then put it up on Pirate Bay. And then they did something to where you can't do that anymore, I guess.
Huh.
I remember that from like 10 years ago.
I don't know. Well, there ain't no theaters no more, apparently.
I'll let you know.
Rumor.
I'll go on a date this month. I'll bring my cell phone with me. Film it all. So let's do it. We're going to do our first and only hobby AMA of October.
Yeah.
So feel free.
She said of 2020.
Feel free to use, orcs as a theme in your questions, but you're not limited to that. So if you're listening to this podcast at home or on your way to work, know that we do this live every Thursday now, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. If you want to jump in on things like this, get your answers to your questions, you got to do it live. So cue them up, guys. Let's do it. Let's jump into it. Ask us anything hobby related. And there may be a pause here in the podcast until I edit it while we're waiting for that.
Stall.
Yeah, quick stall. What's my line? I was hobbying the crap out of some stuff here.
Working on my heavy intercessors. I'm heavily considering making a Space Wolves army built around Ragnar.
He actually hasn't got a single release yet, which is crazy.
Well, I have one. Kenny painted it, so.
And he painted it?
Yeah.
You painted one?
Yeah.
Yeah, the one you sent me.
Yeah.
Well,
there you go.
You sent me
your mail?
To check my mail? Yeah.
You check your mail? Oh.
Yeah, man. All right, so I'm waiting for some actual hobby questions to queue up.
Why heavy intercessors? Man, I had a whole segment on this with a researched Google document and everything, and we decided to push that segment.
And then Dick's got drawn all over it because Kenny didn't lock it down.
The research is still up. The link is still there. You guys can check it out.
The short answer is points efficiency to toughness, not necessarily the toughness stat, but toughness on the tabletop and offense. The heavy intercessors are the best bang for your buck for most Space Marine chapters as a troop choice.
That you just summarized the entire thing. Beautiful.
Yeah, just like that. John Patrick wants to know if Spiky Bits is gonna return to Twitch. There's a rerun going right now.
Literally, you're live right now.
You're live right now. There's 15 hours.
Somebody's talking about matching paint colors using Pro Acryl. You're just gonna have to do it by eye, man. Their line of paints is not meant to directly compete with GW or Vallejo or Army painters. So they don't do color matching. So it's just like, best guess.
Yeah, you just got to use your artist eyes and just be like, okay, this purple is kind of a reddish purple. Try to make it happen.
We did put out a color chart. Let me see. Where I did I did all the Pro Acrylic, Army Painter, GW, all of the charts are all in one article, so you can actually download them.
Ooh, hit that link.
Yeah, let me find it.
I actually had a talk with Jason the other day. We're going to be doing a branded paint set bundle.
Sick.
Probably like the American Express card Heretic bundle. So probably like 8 paints and a brush. Like,
is bright yellow green going to be in there?
Oh, certainly, sir. But also, like, I've over the year of using them, like steadily, I've come to understand like there's just like colors I constantly grab in paints, and like it's not gonna all just be one. It's like there's gonna be like this transparent that I always end up using. These two colors. This one is these two are the ones like I brighten and darken everything with. Like it's gonna be all very explained why these are my 8 American Express card paints. So that's gonna be pretty cool. Look for that soon. IK959 says, I've got a new Skaven team coming for Blood Bowl. Got any tips for blending flesh tones in with the fur? And tips for painting realistic fur?
Oh, painting fur.
Well, yeah, I guess it's a twofold question because it's like, so you're talking about like where the fur meets the skin and like these different patches, right? So there's obviously in some more organic models, like there is not always like a straight border where something begins and ends, and there's a bit of a blur that occurs there. So I think that's kind of like what he's indicating. I think there's a pretty strong beginning and end to the fur and the skin zone. So my suggestion would be always to do your absolute best to honor that start of one and beginning of the other. And as far as the fur goes, fur is just one of the best things in the world that washing and dry brushing works on. Wyatt just painted some fur. Would you concur?
Yeah. I mean, fur is really the only thing that I still use dry brushing on, just because like the surface of the sculpted fur can hide a lot of the texture that is left by dry brushing, and it still looks, like it's dry brushing is kind of meant for like hair and fur and that kind of thing, so it still works just fine. I mean, like when I painted my Ragnar, you painted your Ragnar, I use a lot of airbrushing to kind of get that like fur color transition gradient.
Yeah, you establish your transition with your airbrush, and then you build your contrast with the dry brushing technique and wash technique. Yeah, dry brushing has is poor man edge highlighting. That's the way you got to think about it. So rather than highlighting every strand of fur using the dry brush method, but dry brushing leaves dustiness behind, which is fine on fur. So it's perfect.
I actually think the poor man's edge highlighting is paint chipping. Fuck edge highlighting.
Well, I mean, paint chipping, I think paint chipping takes more skill than dry brushing. Like to do it and more tools. So it's not as poor. Any brush that you stopped using because it sucks is a dry brush.
Suppose that's true. I don't know. I'm
100% true. Can't confirm.
Like you use tweezers and shit. I've seen you.
Well, yeah, but they're self-holding tweezers and use a sponge. You just
a sponge, which you purchase, a self-holding set of tweezers, which you use.
Why would you not just use pull and pluck foam?
That's what I do use.
He does.
Oh, okay.
I have a billion pieces of it left over.
Yeah, infinite supply, right? Rob, you got anything on dry brushing? Any special bonus tips for the fur?
I think the biggest tip that I think people overlook sometimes is don't go back and forth, like one direction, one direction, one direction, one direction, one direction, one direction, one direction. Not.
What if you really hate their music?
Solid.
What if I'm just not into that?
Got him. It's dad joke time with Wyatt Turk.
So that's a solid piece of advice, though, Rob. Because, like, to the chat when you're dry brushing, if you're dry brushing to indicate a light source, right, like the fur's on the top, and you definitely be cognizant of that. Because if you go in every direction, then you just, gave it an edge highlight on every surface. So there's a time and place for that, but not always. Now, Bruce Gordon has one. What's the best way to paint Titanicus models only using cat hair brushes?
First of all, we all know that those are illegal. So you can't use.
But why is my question?
Can't use cat hair brushes.
But why would you want to do that?
What, paint Titanicus miniatures?
Yes.
The hack to painting Titanicus miniatures is to airbrush the armor panels and then use your Sharpie markers, your metal Sharpie markers to pound out all the trim.
So you would advise against even bothering with a cat hair brush?
Yeah, I think that's
I would actually advise against even getting into Titanicus.
No, it's not. That's just bad advice right there. That's
great advice. That is an awesome money saving tip, right there.
Well, I just
saved people hundreds of dollars.
Oh, hundreds of dollars if you buy every single Space Marine release that's come out since Vertigus, or what was that?
Well, I'm just saying, if you buy all the Space Marine stuff, but not buy the Titanicus stuff, you still are, in fact, saving money.
If you bought every Space Marine release since December 2019, you spent $3,000.
Yeah, but
cool.
40K is good, and Titanicus sucks dick.
You spent like $3,800, so I'm saving you like $800.
Those numbers don't match up, sir.
Yeah, but one of them is money well spent. One of them is money wasted. So it's. Yeah.
I agree. Buying all the Space Marines is pretty dumb.
You get out of here.
Yeah, go Moosin. Thoughts on using single strands of carpet as dreadlocks for a Rasta themed Dark Army? I fucking love that idea. My suggestion would be that if you can get those strands locked in, Elmer's glue or PVA glue with water, to paint them in and get them all positioned like hair gel, let it dry so that they're not just flopping around.
Yes. I agree. That's a really cool idea. If you do what Kenny said, if you don't, it will look like dog shit.
Yeah. Here's a rule of thumb. Unpainted elements on painted models are always bad. And that includes things that flop around are no longer sculpted into a sculpted model.
100% agree. But I like the idea. It's very, very cool. I like hair squigs. I like giving orcs hair. Super fun. Just don't glue carpet to their heads and call it done. That'll look really bad.
Don't do that.
It's like when people just glue grass to their scouts. They're like, they're wearing a ghillie suit. It's not as cool as you think it is, dog.
It's bad. Tommy Corrigan has a good one. He says, what's the best way to get the spare grip out of an army painter pin vise?
Wow. Really?
You gotta grip the tip. You gotta twist it.
You gotta bop it.
Gotta grind the pepper shaker, dog.
Yeah. You gotta work the shaft.
I'm not gonna answer this. Nope.
Mostro Marty's got a good one. Why is an expert at this? I'll answer my way, but with the caveat of knowing that you can do it other ways. Mostro Marty asks that, what medium do you use when applying powdered pigments? White spirit, solvent? I just use rubbing alcohol, but like 99.9%. But I know that's not the only way to do it.
Yes. If you want to use the pigments as a color filter, which will then dry as a weathered technique. So for example, if you wanted to put dusty sand on a tank, you could spray it with diluting the pigment with iso alcohol or maybe a pigment fixer. A bunch of companies make pigment fixer liquid. Or you could just put it on dry, which is how I typically like to do it. You just have a really nice, soft, floofy brush, get some pigment in there, dab it onto the model, brush it around, and then varnish it. But yeah, ISO is usually the way to go.
Rob, you got any experience there too? Anything to add to that one?
I just prefer sponging. All that other stuff's just too much work.
No, yeah, I'm not, that's actually a great point. Like I was doing my webinar today, and I was doing a lot of juicing technique to do all this rusty stuff on Big Rona, the new pop miniature.
Right.
And that basically what I had done by the end of it with my weathering technique that I like is like, I was like, so I basically kind of just invalidated my usage of pigment powder here, like, because it has the same exact look. Whereas on the other orc, I use pigments, and I'm like, so one of them is like kind of a commitment to like a style too.
It looks great.
Yeah. But it's easy to go overboard, and that's like another thing is like that's why I actually do really like why it's like put it on dry, because you have a lot of control. You can remove it, still subtract it, and keep it like it's part of the model. Because when it starts to become like it's not part of the model, then you're going into the unpainted element of unpainted model world, right? Because it's like a real life pigment, like so you got to be careful, got to be gentle. And I agree with you, Rob. It's like I don't do it on even close to half my models, like. Special models only for me.
I don't know. I just don't have as much time as I want to paint things. So I'm just going to do it the quickest way that looks the best to me. And I think if you have, it's like that Forge World How to Paint Masterclass book they put out about painting that Falchion tank, like yellow. Like that shit was amazing. And all those steps were great. If you want to spend a year painting one tank.
Well, yeah, that was a scale modeling, but that's the intent of scale modelers.
Right. And that's great, but that's not my hobby. And at the end of the day, I feel like what interests me interests my readers and my viewers. So I'm just going to go with my heart and be like, if it's important to me, it probably resonates with the people that come to the site or watch my videos. So I
mean, I won't lie. Like I have a couple cans or a couple jars of pigment powder that I've had for years. Like that's how often, like, but just having it in your hobby arsenal is pretty nice. Like you get a rhino, you want to dust up some tracks. That's pretty sick, but
that's primarily why I use it. You can do rust effects with it, but it is more intensive. Cause you have to do it. You have to kind of layer it up a little bit. So most of the time when I do it, like, I have a biker here, and you can kind of see he's got that dusty desert patina on his armor and the bike and the rubber wheels.
That looks cool.
You just rub that dry pigment on there and then hit it with a varnish. I find that doing it with the airbrush where you dilute it, it can gather a little bit too much, and it has like a liquidy look to it. Whereas if you want it to look like dry dust, you have to put it on dry and then seal it.
Good tip. Demo, Mab, any tips for painting orcs? Just a really general question in October. I like it.
It's good.
I like it. Super broad. My biggest tip would be with an orc, especially a GW orc, right? You've got a guy who's got all these muscles showing and all these organic features, really big, face, teeth, all this great stuff. But he's also typically going to be covered in like straps and pouches and random armor plates. So there's a lot. They're very busy models, right? So airbrushing is going to always be something that we preach, the first step of any journey. So you're always in a situation where you have to pick. Am I airbrushing the skin, the greens, or whatever? Or if like the entire body of the orc is also covered in like leather and all this crazy shit, do I say like, well, fuck, man, maybe I just bang out the green with a paintbrush and save my ass 1,000 seconds of carving in random straps? So there's always a question that you should ask yourself at the beginning of a journey like that and decide which one you think you're more suited for with your paintbrush. And then that's the one you paintbrush, right? But I have absolutely painted orcs who are covered in leather wraps and everything brown, sprayed them all brown, right? Then just started building up all the leather and cutting and array and subtracting, turning something black, turning a little random strip red, whatever. And now all his skin is still brown. Ain't nothing to mix some green in with some brown and just start kind of like paintbrushing that on and getting your skin tones that way too, and then drop a wash. So like you can do them both ways. It's just whatever you're suited to. And Wyatt taught me something crazy on Gazgul, because he did Gazgul first. He airbrushed that guy silver, like metallic.
Yeah, there's way too many components that were, that kind of orky metal finish that was going to get weathered and rusted out, and almost like no skin. I think it's like his head and his neck, which you can
see his biceps like through these straps. Like
just barely even see it.
And everything that wasn't metal was black. So that was a crazy breakdown. Like the way you roadmap that out saved me 1,000 seconds painting my castle.
Oh yeah. I mean, I finished it in like 7 hours of total paint time.
So sometimes the answer isn't always like I'm airbrushing every single one of my works green, is what I'm saying. Like sometimes you gotta look at the model and figure out like, wait, maybe I just need to paint Gaskell's face and neck green by hand and
Yep. I think there was a question in here about the Matt from Zenu.
Well, right after Damo, who I just answered, we just answered this question, we have Darkness Wolf. You got any tips for gunmetal black Necrons with a blue glow?
I got something for this one. So my go-to, if you can find it right now, is a lacquer color called from Model Master called Gunmetal. If you can find it, this stuff's money. It's really hard to find right now because Model Masters isn't making it. There might be a conversion for testers.
Maya might make it too.
Or in Rust-Oleum. But it's just a really good dark metal kind of color that you can work up with all the Army Painter silvers. That's kind of my workup for if you've seen any of my Titans or Night Titans, Big Titans. That's the underneath of all of it. And that stuff's great. Kenny has a really good blue glow recipe. Do you still do the P3 one, or are you on something else? The P3 one was pretty good.
I mean, the paint manufacturer is like 50% irrelevant. Like, I mean, you're talking about like an OSL now, right? Like just
like for the eyes
the biggest tip is if you're going to do some accents that are glowing in your Necrons, and you're going to do the time saver of like utilizing the spray paint technique, get them really dark metal. There's obviously going to be a detail element here, like possibly dry brushing that dark metal with some bright silvers and stuff. My biggest suggestion is always finish the model before you go to do the glowy parts.
Yes.
Right. And watch a couple videos about glazing, because glazing is really fast and easy. A lot of times if I'm just making eyes glow, I do it all the time on Twitch. I just paint the eye itself fully comic book superhero white, and then go back in and just drop that blue glaze right over it. Do it 1-2 times, 2 passes, and suddenly all the little spots around his eyes are taking on the blue, and all your little edge highlighting or dry brushing is poking through as well. Now being informed by the blue, so they're brighter naturally, and then the eyes are still mostly white with a little blue. So it's super one and done technique. Paint the eyes white, turn your favorite blue into kind of something in between a wash and a glaze, and just go in there and bake it out super fast, especially if you're trying to clutch out 100 Necrons.
I was trying to remember the colors. I did a blue glow. I think I did it on my Stormcast. It was Cantor blue, Lothran blue, and Ulthan gray, which is a blue gray at the very tips and the edge. So like Kenny was saying, like, say you want to do their eyes, you would come in and hyper highlight like that straight edge over their eyebrow or something. Like if you glued their eyes and then just dotted their eyeball, or like if you did it on their weapons, just hit like the long supporting rod or something, like a barrel.
Got to work that rod.
Always.
You got to work it.
Work the rod in the shaft. Just always remember too, if it's something that's glowing, where the light source is emanating from is the brightest point, and everything else is darker. So like realistically, if you're trying to save time, you can do it all with a single blue. Like it doesn't need to be different blues. As long as you have the blue being informed by your highlights, right? Because technically like a blue lamp is only one blue. It just is being informed by the environment around it. So you can get away with some pretty fast techniques as long as you go through and make sure your dark metal shit has like appropriate highlights on it, and your blue will just take on that highlight. And metal's the easiest. That's what I like about this paint job, is like metal takes on like a glowy effect real easy. Like anything with that glittery medium in it.
Somebody was asking, who is this? LK959. Any recommendations for basing grass that would give the look of a football pitch? Gamer's grass. They make some 2 millimeter tall stick-on tufts. a self-adhesive tufts. And if you just put a bunch on one base, it'll give the look of a pitch. Like all my my Blood Bowl dwarves are like that. And then I just took a dry brush with some loaded up with like white paint and put that on there to mimic the look of the painted grass for the yard lines, and it works great.
Yeah, you can even sponge it on or something.
That's solid.
Why would you sponge it? That doesn't make any sense.
I mean, or like kind of dry, like
Wet dry brush.
Dab it, wet brush.
Nah, that doesn't work for the grass.
Remember this in the chat. Painting is one thing. It's how opaque or how transparent is your paint. And only one thing determines that, moisture level, right? So the more moist something is, the less control you have, right? The drier something is, the more control you have. And so just think about that. Anytime you're about to try to like clutch out a new effect you haven't tried before, like let's say painting a strip of white paint over some grass, you just look at the grass for a second and you're like, okay, I need it to be opaque, right? Because I want it to kind of be one and done. And I want to be in control. So dry, got it. That's when you mix up. You do it. Because if it was wet, what would happen? It would just go and seep into the grass, right? Because you'd be out of control. The only thing that controls the paint at that point is gravity, which I guess technically controls everything on Earth. So
yes, that is true.
I recently discovered that I am no longer just vulnerable to gravity and bullets, but also sinus infections is also. I have
literally the entire time we've been friends, you've had a sinus infection.
Yeah.
You didn't notice though.
I was just like, I'm a little sniffly around these certain times of the year. Like, and then I thought about it. I was like, wait a minute.
It's every time of the year.
Yeah.
Bullets, sinus infections.
Gravity.
Your only known weakness. Please, this one's for you, Rob. Please, 420 asks, Harder and Steinbeck Kalani airbrush. Anybody use it?
Oh, the Kalani?
Yeah.
I think it's how you say it. I don't know. I used it. I liked it. It's adjustable. Like you can have different nozzles, tips. You can have different tips on it for different sizes. But the cool thing about it is it's left or right handed, so you can set it up for either one, which is pretty cool.
Left or right handed.
Yeah,
well, if you saw it, it has
what is it? Ejecting grip. Shells? Like
yes,
I don't understand why
it has a big ass grip on it. If you saw it, you'd be
so it has a comfort grip built in. That is
okay. But you can switch it depending. So
I'm just like looking at my airbrush.
I'd have to.
It doesn't look like your airbrush.
I don't understand.
I don't understand. Google it, you'll see it.
And obviously, so it has a comfort grip. I'd have to see how the comfort grip works.
It's super good, and it's cool because if you have a bigger hand, like a mantis hand, you can put the mantis grip on.
Trying to push your mantis narrative on us. You're a lizard person, not buying it.
So it's their most adjustable airbrush as far as like if you have a hard time holding airbrushes because you got the shakes or whatever, that's probably the one you want. Absolutely. Or you just have like a bum finger or something, you probably want that one.
Basically every finger on my hand except for my pointer finger is a bum finger. Zenwu says, I got some Rust-Oleum matte clear enamel from the hardware store. It seems not good. What's the correct Rust-Oleum matte can? Is Krylon okay? Back to Rob. What was it?
This clear top coat. Dead flat is what you want. It's like
looks like Febreze.
It looks like a Febreze can. It is not Febreze. Do not spray it nimbly bimbly throughout the air. Or do, whatever. I don't know. Yeah. But it's super good.
You're adults. If you want to huff paint, I can't stop you.
You do what you want, man.
Free country.
Live your best life. I lost the chat. Want to buy chat.
Which company has the best washes?
There's a couple of good washes out there. I would say Army Painter and GW are at the top for sure. I
would actually say stop buying GW washes, especially
stop buying them.
Well, I mean, so the reason I say that is because they are made to be antithetical to what we do with airbrushes. Even with a gloss varnish, those are not washes. Those are ink stains. They are meant to stain the model as soon as they touch it. So I try to steer people away from those because the number of people that I have seen invest in an airbrush, learn how to use it, feel really good about themselves when they do their first sick like airbrush pop fade thing, and then they slap a Citadel wash on it and ruin all their work, and then they blame the airbrush because they're so like brainwashed by the dogma of how to paint models GW style that they don't understand that GW does not factor in airbrushing into their paint by numbers system.
Right, because they paint in the midtone.
Yeah.
Right. So so painting a miniature is like all about it's all about contrast, right? We're painting this tiny ass little model. So you got to make dark stuff kind of extra dark and bright things extra bright. GW does that excellently. Look at their box art, right? But everything's a midtone in between. So there's no drama in between. So their wash is excessively thin and stainy, is why it said. It's designed to go inside of panel lines and things like that and be really fucking dark. The issue is that if you look at the GW box art again, and you see that everything's been pin washed with their washes, they also have edge highlighted along every single one of those seams as well, which has the added bonus of contrast, but is also there to fix every mistake that has occurred during that wash step, which is why they look like their Space Marines are like excessively edge highlighted, whereas the Army Painter and that washes are just thicker, have a heavier acrylic medium. They're straight up just an acrylic pigment or medium with a pigment. And so I do agree with you, Rob. Though, I think that as far as like what we think of as a product that is a wash, GW is pretty decent and possibly even second best. But the difference between Army Painters and GWs is like so fucking far away. It's crazy. Like buy the entire set of, I require it. I have 31 students. And for the second class, we do active washing, and it is required course material that you have to buy the Army Painter wash set. And I don't get a commission. I don't have an affiliate link, nothing. It's just like, I'm not even going to waste my time with this class unless you buy those washes.
Isn't it like less than half of the cost now because they restructured?
Oh, yeah. Because they're like $780.
Yeah, because like the Army Painter wash system is, you don't just like dunk your brush in that shit and slap it onto the model like a caveman. You get a few drops, you dilute it, and then you put it onto the model and rub it around so that it doesn't stain on top of the nice detail of flat surfaces. And Citadel wash is like $750, like $850 a bottle now.
$780.
God, get out of here with that shit.
For 20, what is it? 24 milliliters, I think. 24. Yeah. I've had great success with thinning down both the G-Dub glazes and
they don't make those anymore.
Shades.
So we can't,
I still got them.
We can't promote them anymore. They don't make them.
And with like a 50-50 mix of water, and then the other 50-50 is matte varnish and their new mixing medium from matte mixing medium. Yeah. What's the quick shade?
Yeah,
mixing medium.
Quick shade wash mixing.
Yeah, medium. and what's that liquid tech stuff? It basically is the same thing as the contrast stuff they sell.
Right.
So not that medium.
I'll say this, Rob. I recognize
glazing medium,
like the utility of what you're doing, but I would ask you, like, if I was a consumer who didn't already know, and you were like, so you're telling me that if I want to use Citadel washes, I have to pay almost 3 times as much. And I have to buy all of these other products just to mix it in there, just to make it work the same way as Army Painter does with a bottle of wash, and that's it.
Well, I personally don't like either of them out of the bottle. Like, I don't use the Army Painter ones.
No,
I'm just saying. I'm just illustrating a point. So it's like, if you want to use Citadel washes, you have to buy like this medium and that medium and dilute it with water and figure out how to do that. Which for people who've never done it before is not the easiest thing to wrap your head around. No. Or you can just go to Army Painter, get your tone wash, and then put some water in there and go to town, and it's like one and done.
Or use their matte mixing medium.
So so the question I'm asking is like, why would you ever buy Citadel washes?
Yeah, like if you didn't already fuck up and buy every single one of them because you got caught up in the fever. If they're all on your shelf right now and you've already dumped that money on them, check out Rob's article on how to make them not suck, right? Because it's going to take some time to recover from that fucking investment. But if you
just say don't buy more stuff to make that stuff work, because you could just invest in an army painter for like the same cost.
Right. And I think it's $34 for the whole set of army painter quick shades. So like probably still do that instead.
I mean, or you can do other things like I'm really hot on oil washes. Like you want to talk about like the real high level shit that like when you watch these guys that enter like Crystal Brush and the real like painter kind of stuff, it's like oil washes. You have to be more patient with it because you have to put it on there, blend it out, clean it up, then let it sit for like 12, 14 hours while you sleep and then varnish it. But the overall look is way cooler. But just like easy fire and forget stuff for the cost, foolproof army painter wash.
I mean, Army Painter made a business model out of dipping. So they have, for 13 years, they have been figuring out a way to cover a model in a acrylic-based product that would make all the dark stuff darker without fucking up the paint. They've been doing that for 13 straight years. Like, they're better at it than all the other companies. You know what I mean? When it comes to, like, our miniature space. Like, so... Mm-hmm. Hard to argue with that. Arc Pride has a good one. Follow-up question. Why airbrush? Isn't that cheating? Yeah, it's cheating. That's why I do it. I cheat to win, dog. If you're not cheating, you're not trying, baby.
What are we competing for, by the way?
Who has the coolest looking model and the most time still in their life?
Oh, then I'm going to airbrush.
Yeah.
Who has more time at the end of the week?
I keep my time in my pants.
Here's a spoiler alert. Like all the best painters in the world that you follow on like the gram and the Crystal Brush stuff, they all use airbrushes. And you can't finish a model with only an airbrush and have it look that way. There's always tons and tons of painting techniques you have to learn to do. So the airbrush is a way to make certain things a lot easier to do a lot quicker.
I have a question. I thought contrast paint was the way to do all this stuff because all those people.
I know you're just saying that to make me upset.
All those people it's a year or two ago were like, dog, you need contrast paints to paint your models. Like every one of them said, you need
Games
contrast
Workshop
paint.
gave me a full expenses paid trip to England and gave me a shit ton of money, I'd probably say the same thing, Rob. That's how sponsorship works.
Nah, is that what you call it? Is that what you call it?
It's called a paid endorsement or a paid review. I've been doing some stuff on the book end, because Bonet published a novel 2 weeks ago, and I've discovered how many scummy paid reviews exist in the world.
Dude, it's bad. Like if you have Amazon like affiliate links on anything, like there's a very specific disclaimer you're supposed to have, and like even YouTube, even getting stuff from GW, you're supposed to have a specific disclaimer according to the Federal Trade Commission, but nobody does.
Well, they also broke a bunch of laws when they released their app with no way to unsubscribe. So I mean,
what?
How do these things happen?
Essex Boy says, "How would you tackle Black Templars?" Interesting, because we just
you asked.
We just talked about airbrushing.
Video on my channel is a Black Templars video. Go watch it.
Is it a Black Templars or is it a Raven Guard or is it an Iron Hands?
It is a Black Templars video.
I thought it was a combo video. Was it not?
I mean, I say that every time I paint black.
Oh, okay. I mean,
it's all the same shit. But that video is specifically start to finish painting a Black Templars model. So yeah, check it out.
There are many ways to paint black. Some that are longer than others, some that are faster, some that are arduous and very task oriented, right? And it's all about sustainability for your goals. And Wyatt has an incredible video on YouTube right now that has high levels of sustainability for getting your Black Templars army on the table. And it's your like most popular video, right?
One of them.
It's a good one.
Yeah.
Your Blood Angels one. Oh, you did an Ultra.
I wish some of my newer videos were more popular. I think the most viewed one I have is one of my very first videos where I paint a Dark Angel to a tournament standard. And it is so garbage compared to what I do now. I'm like, I wish you people would stop watching this and watch my new shit.
You can link
just
them in there.
The production quality is not nearly as good.
Yeah. Well, there's always growth.
Yeah.
I'm looking through it right now. I think we got to the end of it. I don't see any other like really relevant questions, just comments and any kind of follow-up statements from what we've answered.
Mm-hmm.
I have a disclaimer that I need to get out. I was sponsored by Future Floor Wax back in the 1990s, but once they're absorbed by Pledge, our contract fell through.
It was never honored after that.
Yeah, that was it.
Here's a good question. Do you use a booth when you airbrush indoors? How do you deal with overspray? No, and I don't. And it really depends on how anal you are about it. So I have a very wide open living room here, sitting at my paint desk. The air is circulating, and I have a piece of construction paper in front of me, and that typically soaks up any type of overspray that happens when airbrushing. These are water-based acrylic paints. You're spraying away from yourself, so it's not really that big a deal. But if you are in a enclosed space with bad air circulation, and that's something that you worry about, then yeah, you might want a little bit of a spray booth. I know that Mr. Hobby actually makes a really, really good one as part of their Gunpla supply tool line. It's made for people that live in tiny apartments in Tokyo, so that's probably a pretty good one. It comes with a little fan thing that goes out your window. I don't know what those are.
Exhaust.
Like a vent fan
exhaust
thing. That's pretty good, but yeah, I guess it just depends.
There's a couple of them with like LEDs. Masters has one.
Yeah, in America, Masters has like $100 one or something like that.
Yeah, and it's got a LED strip. I kind of wish I had bought that. Here, I'll put some links in chat if you're live. You can check it out. There's always, if you want to get links to or specific direction pointed to any of the stuff that we talk about, most likely it's probably over on our Hobby Essentials list over on Spiky Bits. Just look for my stupid face on the site. There's a little button, a little link. I'll take you to the boner pill section. Yeah. Just scroll under that, and there's a list of all the essential hobby supplies that we generally talk about.
Follow up to the airbrush question. So I commissioned for 6 years. So when I was doing big ass armies endlessly, daily, right? And so you're talking 10-hour sessions, wide open airbrushing over every model in an army. That got a little aggressive, right? So absolutely in those situations where I have a big project, an 8-hour airbrushing session at that level, I made my own exhaust. And I have a video on YouTube, just a big Tupperware container with a 400 CFM exhaust fan plugged in the back with a reasonable air conditioner filter in the front. I would just spray to that, and 99.9% of all the paint in your water is just going to hit that mesh and be gone. Right? You don't even need to pipe it out. But when you're painting a model at a time, like I do now, for a living,
or just a squad, I can do a whole squad.
Literally, yeah. 99% of my paint is either on the model or on the cardboard in front of me. Right. Mm-hmm. And if that's not your experience while trying to emulate or trying to attain these results, probably you have your PSI cranked up too high. So every time you pull back the trigger, it's putting way more out into the world than you need. Or maybe you always pull the trigger back. There's only really one moving part in an airbrush, okay? It's literally a fucking trigger going back and forth, right? You can obviously, on a double action airbrush, push down and manipulate the PSI if you want. But if you're just pushing it down and rocking it back, there's only one thing to be focused on, and that's the needle backing out of the tip. So if you're not in control of that yet, get in control of that, and you'll notice that only exactly as much paint as you intend to spray is coming out of your airbrush, and it's not much.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, maybe one more. Nerdy Gainers says, I'm painting a Death Guard white crawler. What technique would you use to make it look dirty but not totally lose the white color? I've tried using shades, but it ends up mauling the white, just turned totally brown. Yeah, you covered it in a shade is GW term, right? So you covered it in a GW wash. Yeah, you fucked it up.
We just had a whole segment. Stop using GW washes.
Yeah. That's actually a great candidate for Wyatt's dusting of pigments.
Yes.
Yeah, you airbrush the thick whites in it, and then maybe drop a couple of pin washes in just to darken the borders, right. But dust up some of that pigment.
You can use pigments. You can also use things like enamel washes. There turns out there is an entire industry of products made around painting scale tank models. with all sorts of really cool shit that Games Workshop doesn't want you to know about because it's better than all of their stuff. So check out like AK Interactive and Ammo by MIG. They make a ton of enamel washes, pigments, pigment powders, color filters, things like mud splattering stuff that you can do for all that sort of stuff. All of that does not mess with the actual color of your tank. Whereas when you put you basically put wood stain over your entire tank, right? If that makes sense. That's what Citadel washes do. They are basically wood stains. And that's why they look the way they do. And you have to paint over everything that you don't want shaded down. It ruins the color of whatever you put over.
Their washes
the color that you put that shade on
are predominantly designed to be pin washed, like to put in little lines to make things darker, because they don't they're not designed to let something or a value underneath and really shine through and inform the hue of their wash. It's really like it's changing the composition of what you're laying it on. Like it's not optimized for this. Okay, that's the real last one. Rob, you got anything to add to the painting a white crawler?
If you wanted to go gray, you could just grab your favorite gray, whether it's blue or like a brownish gray, like a uniform grayish, and just super thin it down and wash it across, get in the cracks, and you wouldn't have the brown issue for sure. You would just have like almost like a,
it would be dark. It would make the value darker without changing the hue. Like
you might want to use a bluish gray though.
Which means you want to make it cool. That's a good subject because like one of them is like turning it into like a warmer version of itself or a cooler version of itself. And those are
right.
And also something you said just now is like, you were talking about taking a color and washing. Washing's a technique. It's not a product. And so you don't always need to buy a product.
Right. Yeah. You'd be really, really surprised the difference between like an enamel wash that people use for scale models and the stuff that GW makes, because it's meant to apply a very, very thin color filter and then gather in the details. It does not ruin the paint that you already put on, right? Because they're like, the scale modeling stuff has been going on almost like over a century, right? And people wouldn't keep using enamel washes on this tank that they just spent 40 hours of their life blending oil shades to look perfectly color modulated. And then they put like a brown wood stain on top of it and ruined all that, right? It's not what you want. You want that thin color filter to go on top of it and a darker shade to gather in the recessed details. And that's what enamel washes do with very little need for cleanup. That's why I recommend those to people to get into, because it just makes your life way easier and you can have your models look so much better. And that's the secret. There is no like skill involved in using that stuff. It's just that the technique that people have been, brainwashed into using by Games Workshop is because they want you to keep buying their shit. And so they teach you a way of painting that is reliant on their product. And I'll tell you, like, I don't know about Kenny's students, but like almost every student that I get for my one-on-one sessions, like my first 3 or 4, like 2-hour sessions is me breaking them of all of the terrible habits that GW has instilled in them so they can become better painters and actually learn how to paint.
Yeah, that adds up. Yep. All right, so I think we've done it. We put our time in. Anybody didn't get their question answered, don't worry. There is Facebook channels. There's a million different ways to interact via Twitch, YouTube, whatever. Rob, Wyatt, and myself, we answer literally every question we get our eyes on. So don't hesitate during the week in between hobby AMAs to field questions endlessly. I mean, Rob has an email. I think it's catdaddy69@gmail.com.
That was already taken out by me.
Oh, okay.
You can just email me at support@spikybits.com. It's not as cool as that last one, but it'll get to me.
If you really want to get Rob's ear, make sure to email him at rob.baer@bonermail.com.
That also might not be mine.
That's totally yours. Don't lie to our fans.
Who the fuck have I been talking to for 6 months? We have been sharing some intimate stuff with each other.
Yup. That was not me, dog. That was just somebody cleverly social engineering you.
Quick, funny story. When we went down to San Antonio shootout, we were staying at the Hyatt on the Riverwalk, and we went and got breakfast before day 2. Me and my buddy Greg, and I was like, "Hey, just put it on the room. I'll get it." And I went back up to the hall, and so he was telling me, he was like, "Yeah, so they wanted like an email on the receipt. I didn't know what to say." And so the guy came back and asked me, and he was like, "Oh yeah, just put it on like Wyatt Turk at bonermail.com." And the dude like didn't even miss a beat. Like he just wrote that shit down and was like, "Okay," and walked off.
Got him.
Nice.
Well, Haspil isn't here to take us out, but I have a good one for us today.
Oh yeah, let's hear it.
I think Haspil said, actually, this is a Haspil. Haspil said this. I don't know where it's from, but he said it in our chat. You either die a hero or live long enough to see yourself become the villain.